So I'm here today outside the Wellington High Court with Sue Gray's case going on around no jab, no job. I'm here with Mark. And also Jesse.
Hi.
And I'm also holding a sign, but you can't see me. So I just heard Mark before speaking to Sarah Speaks, who's visiting, and he did a really good interview with her. And I thought I'd ask Mark, what are you here for today, Mark? What brings you here?
Well, I think our society and all of the Western world in general is on a slow descent into a tyrannical order.
Sure.
And I think all signs point to it. And I know that in my core, in the core of my being, and I can't bite my tongue anymore, and I can't just sit in a chat group and just keep riffing about this without actually doing something, because I think the powers that be, they're counting on us to just sit in our little bubbles in our digital format and not get on the street. And it's people who are willing to come out and do something. Like, we're here to support Sue Gray. She's actually taking the fight to them, and for good reasons. I think the position that the New Zealand government is in at the moment is just they are a rogue state and they're running away with power. You cannot justify jabbing teenagers with this vaccine.
You're right,
And where does it stop? Unless we start to get on the streets and stop it.
So I was thinking about Sue Gray. She's a lawyer, and I was thinking there's a lot of people that are lawyers who are attracted to becoming lawyers for the prestige of being a lawyer. But when you get, there's a bit of support there, that's good to hear. There's a lot of lawyers who are careerists. They're interested in their career, whereas someone like Sue Gray, to me, she's willing to take a position that's quite dissenting, quite risky for herself. And yet she gets vilified. But in actual fact, I have a lot of respect for what she's done. And I'd like to see more people in the legal industry like Sue getting on board. There are others. I think she's got a lot on her plate because there's not many people like Sue Gray. So
she definitely does. She is. And you're right. I mean, like you were touching on there, a lot of people would maybe get into lawyering, for example, or any career for maybe a bit of prestige. And I think that can happen in any career. People, you can run your life. What I'm trying to say is you can run your life based on values.
That's right.
I guess, and take a principled position. And I think that shines through in people like Sue. She's being very real, and a lot of people are seeing that. And I think currently we live in a society where people know the price of everything but the value of nothing.
Good saying. Good saying. I like that one.
And currently everything that you should be valuing. Talking to you, the people of New Zealand, everything you should be valuing: free speech, medical autonomy, not being a slave to the nanny state, like being a self-determining human being. Is all under attack right now. And you need to really cop on, because we're on dangerous grounds.
I feel as though, like as the sign I've got here says, I think people are sort of trying to buy time. They're trying to go along with things because in the hope that things will get better, in the hope that they'll eventually get their freedom back. But to me, that's making the government more brazen, I would say. There's no pushback. There's not enough pushback.
And they're taking. It's maybe more of a metaphysical conversation, but they do take more power from us, and they only take that if we give it.
That's right.
And they've been doing this for years. They've done it every time they pull the wool over our eyes. They did it at 9/11. They took a lot of power from people, and they confused a lot of people. And they're doing it again. They're doing it again, and it is another conversation. I know it's hard for people to
Great
think,
website.
How could this be a big conspiracy?
Got all the facts.
And who is the they? Who is the they? Well, it isn't actually that hard to put the dots together. When you see the people who are signing these agendas and the trade deals, you can just trace it back to the organisations they're part of. So.
So what you were alluding to before, you mentioned something that sounded like what I'd call globalism, and I'm on board with what you're saying, by the way. But what would you say is what's really behind it? Would you say it's the United Nations, or?
I'd say what is really behind it is what should be behind us building a new society. Which I think our problems are spiritual first and foremost, and then political. So that said, behind their movement is a philosophy, and the philosophy is technocracy. At its base, it's spiritual. They want complete domination. And I mean, that's another metaphysical argument again.
It's kind of a utopian vision, right, that they have.
It is. I think they serve a different master to the obvious Christian God. And then there comes a philosophy, and the philosophy has been around since the 1930s. It's technocracy.
Right. I was actually I was involved in an article recently for the BFD where we called Susie Wiles a technocrat.
She's a technocrat.
Exactly. She seems rather foolish to me.
See you, bro. Cool. Free hugs.
There you go.
Sorry, mate. Sorry.
Bit of male bonding there. That's good. She seems kind of foolish to me, but she gets touted as being this expert. But not all epidemiologists are on the same page as each other, and that's good. I think that's a good thing. But it doesn't get handled that way by the media and by the government. They're treating it as being one. Whatever the technocrat says, that's the truth, and anything else is misinformation. I
believe that's right. I mean, that goes hand in hand with the technocracy of trying to usher in. You want to destroy our civilization Western civilization is founded on principles of the divine spark in each person, divine reason, that's why the individual is the core of Western civilization. They're trying to dismantle that. And they want to put essentially a new god on a pedestal, which is science. They want to put scientism. Literally. The technocrat wants to have. It's not a political system. It's an economic system. It's everything. All the resources are locked up in a centralized control, which is which is science. Science more or less dictates how the resources get distributed.
That's right.
Which is why we're watching the digital currency be ushered in behind the scenes.
That's right.
They're not letting that be known.
Like I think before you mentioned values. I think that's science needs values. Science alone has no values, so it needs to be driven by values. And if it's being driven by bad values, then it leads to bad science, I would say. That'd be my opinion on it.
You can read a philosopher called David Hume, a Scotsman. He deduced that you can't get an is from an ought. And no, you can't get an ought from an is.
Right.
Which is you can't get we ought to do this. That is a moral compunction which comes from, again, a metaphor. It depends what you believe. Some people believe in the Buddha, but it is all a spiritual realm. And it comes from a spiritual realm, and that's where the philosophy of good and evil comes from. But in science, there is no moral compunction, because morals is a metaphysical argument which stands outside of science. So
that's right.
If we give away all of our self-determining essence, I guess, to a scientific high priest of scientism, and there's no telling that.
I agree. That's brilliant. Good talking. Oh, the one more thing you're talking about with we were talking about the legal profession before, but the journalistic and broadcasting profession as well. I believe you're somewhat involved in broadcasting or journalism, or
so. I'm a committee member of the Ikitahuna Community Radio Society.
Okay.
So we're actually the smallest community-funded station with a commercial license, actually, in New Zealand.
Oh, wow.
And so, we got the studio in Ikitahuna there, and so I used to do a show with my friend Alex, the Mark and Alex show, so we did that for about 60 episodes, but we pulled the pin on that.
Nice.
And we're just restructuring the station now, and we'll get into doing more shows.
Was that kind of talk radio, or was that?
We'd play music and just discuss current affairs, and we would also take snippets of the dissenting voices around this whole scamdemic.
Oh, so it was actually around COVID-19.
We identified that was the biggest issue coming at us right now. We're just going to try to do everything we could to try and flip that narrative, because you and I know that we're only seeing one side of the narrative. So
Yeah.
we did our darndest to do that, and it will continue when I get my new show on the air. Yeah.
Do you have an idea in mind of what you probably do? What was the idea for that show then?
Probably a bit of the same. So
Okay.
a bit of music, try keep it as jovial as possible and upbeat as possible, but not shy away from talking about real issues.
Okay.
And reaching out to people I'm meeting at these places. We're here with Sue Gray, we're here with Calvin Alp and Steel Speaks from Counterspin Media.
Yeah.
I've met the people involved in the Outdoors Party. I've just met you.
Yep.
I understand you're in a political sort of movement. So so reaching out to those people and getting a good view on where we should take this country. Yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah. Well, I think we'll be in touch around Radio Kitahuna for sure.
Yeah, for sure.